Welcome, curious learners, to the deep dive. Today, this deep dive, it's really tailored for you. For the person navigating, modern life who gets that under the surface, things can get, well, complicated unexpectedly so. We're not just telling a story today. We're really looking closely at this moment of systemic chaos. It's so profound, so absurd, and honestly, so very human that it's become this kind of legend. And the best part, this failure, it wasn't digital, not a cyber attack. Nope. This was deeply analog, tangible. You could touch it, and remarkably meaty. Okay, picture this with me: a major U.S. interstate, you know the kind, vital artery. It's peak rush hour, sweltering August afternoon, heat shimmering off the road, and the mood in those cars already tense, impatient. Traffic's just crawling. Nightmare scenario under this brutal sun. People are thinking about AC, cold drinks, totally oblivious. And then, just like that, one single truck, carrying something, well, extraordinary, has a very, very bad day. A day that basically just unraveled the whole system.
You've really set the scene there. It sounds intriguing, especially when you talk about systemic chaos and the system unraveling.
Yeah.
What's fascinating, I think, is that anticipation. How one single thing, one truck, one bad day can just cascade, trigger this huge failure. Makes you wonder about the hidden weaknesses in our infrastructure that seems so solid, how easily one little thing can expose it all.
Yeah.
Especially, like you said, when the failure is so analog, so physical. It suggests, even now, basic physical stuff can just stop everything in really surprising ways.
Exactly. And you're probably thinking, okay, what was it carrying? Something obviously fragile, right?
Yep.
Or exotic, like rare butterflies, volatile chemicals, maybe, I don't know, angry geese. Something that would just logically be a nightmare to clean up. But no, prepare yourself. It's delightfully mundane. But the impact, huge. This truck, this harbinger of chaos, was carrying about 40,000 pounds of uncooked hot dogs.
40,000 pounds.
40,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Uncooked. Not just a few boxes. Enough for like a small city's worth of barbecues. The sheer volume is just staggering. And it's the ordinariness, the everyday nature of hot dogs that makes what happened next so profound. So yeah, you guessed it. We are diving headfirst into a Frankfurter fiasco, a total wiener wipeout. It was definitely the worst commute ever.
Yeah, it really does call for a pun, doesn't it? But, beyond the jokes, beyond just how absurd it is, 50 tons of wieners on a highway, this story, for you listening, it has some really valuable lessons, as our mission here in this deep dive, to pull out those key insights from this unbelievable but true event. We're not just here for the laughs, right? We want to understand. We'll look at how something so trivial, seemingly, can just expose these huge vulnerabilities in infrastructure, highlight the often comical side of bureaucracy, its rigidity. We'll see some surprising things about human behavior, too. Resilience under pressure. And we'll trace those ripple effects, how seemingly small things spread out. Our goal is to get you to those aha moments so you understand not just what happened that day, but why it actually matters in the bigger picture. It gives you insights that go way beyond the absurdity of it all. The initial spill. A meaty catastrophe unfolds.
Okay, let's really get back into that scene because the setup, it's crucial. Imagine I-95 again, that concrete ribbon always buzzing, major city nearby. It's August, asphalt's like a griddle, air in the cars, thick, even with the AC blasting. People are tired, commuting after work, probably thinking about dinner, just ground down by the traffic. The whole atmosphere is just ripe for frustration. But nobody could see this coming. Now, the truck. Our unwitting protagonist, a semi, big rig, right? With that large, shiny refrigerated trailer, keeping the cargo cold. It's navigating this mess, stop and go traffic, trying to make time maybe. Reports say the driver, maybe tired, misjudged a curve, took an interchange ramp just a little too fast. Just a fraction too fast, a tiny miscalculation, speed, angle. But that fraction of a second, that little error, it becomes the tipping point, catastrophic. The load inside those 40,000 pounds of hot dogs, they shift violently. The momentum, the weight, that sudden jolt, it's too much. The whole truck jackknives, skids across the lanes, and then the sound. Witnesses said it was like tearing metal. Horrifying screech. The trailer just splits open like a tin can.
Wow.
Yeah. And here's where the mundane gets surreal, where delicious becomes disastrous.
And bam, stage one of this.
Yeah.
Unique catastrophe. The sensory impact. It's hard to even imagine, right? 40,000 pounds of hot dogs just released. They didn't just spill. They cascaded like a river across all four lanes. An unstoppable flow of cylindrical processed meat. It wasn't just scattered. It formed this glistening pink carpet right there on the highway. And because it was so hot, they were actually like gently steaming as they hit that scorching asphalt.
Steaming? Oh, man.
Yeah. Just this bizarre, surreal river of wieners. covering every inch. It completely shut down the highway
Yeah.
instantly. Not just one way. The jackknife blocked everything. Chaos, gridlock, traffic jams stretching for miles, just froze the city's pulse. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, right, this initial spill, it just screams vulnerability. How fragile our critical infrastructure is, even to the most, well, unconventional accidents. It shows how one bizarre thing, totally outside the usual emergency plans, can just halt everything. Commerce, commuters. Huge costs, way beyond just being late.
I can only imagine the people stuck there, that first second disbelief, trying to process this landscape of hot dogs, probably just stunned silence, right, as it sinks in, and then maybe that human thing kicks in, trying to make sense of the absurd. I picture someone looking at their dashboard, then the road, then back again, like, is this actually happening? Also, do I have any mustard?
No, exactly. Or maybe a lighter.
Right. That immediate shift, shock to humor, resourcefulness, something primal, and then boom, the media frenzy. News helicopters show up, circling like vultures over this media apocalypse.
Yeah.
And their first reports. Pure gold, absolute bewilderment. One traffic reporter, you could hear him struggling, trying to find the words. Live on air, he finally just blurts out, sounding amazed. Folks, I honestly don't know how to describe this. Down on I-95, it looks like a sausage stampede.
A sausage stampede.
Yes, you heard me. A complete shutdown of I-95 due to wieners, thousands and thousands of them. And just like that, it wasn't a traffic report anymore. It was this huge, kind of comical national news story everybody was watching.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where the real challenge starts. The problem-solving part that exposed all the cracks in the system. The immediate question wasn't just, divert traffic or check for injuries. It was much weirder. How exactly do you clean up 40,000 pounds of loose perishable hot dogs hygienically, effectively? It's not like normal road debris, right?
Yeah.
Broken car parts, gravel, trash, stuff you can just sweep up, shovel away. This was organic, perishable, slippery probably, and just massive. Prone to spoiling, a magnet for pests. So right away, the nature of the debris signals this is way beyond routine cleanup. It hints at all these complex layers. Public health, environment, special equipment. Stuff most highway departments just don't have ready for a wiener wipeout, which raises that key question, right? What protocols are there for something this unique? Or more importantly, what happens when something falls totally outside the playbook? When plans are useless and agencies have to just improvise. Agencies that maybe don't even talk to each other much. It shows a huge blind spot in how we prepare for emergencies. 2, the system fails.
A bureaucratic blob forms around the wieners.
And that, my friend, is exactly where the system, the one with all the plans and protocols, just started to spectacularly fall apart. The first response seemed logical. Call goes out to the Department of Transportation, the DOT. They handle highways, right? So they dispatch a cleanup crew. Problem solving 101. But here's the fatal flaw, where the systemic failure kicks in. Not with a bang, but with a typo, a clerical error, one single mistyped code in some big old dispatch system. So instead of sending a regular road crew guys with shovels, maybe a street sweeper, the system, following this wrong code, sent the HAZMAT team.
No way. HAZMAT.
For hot dogs. Yep, the HAZMAT team. So picture this. It's absurd. An hour later, right, hot dogs are still just sitting there, steaming away. And these two huge, intimidating trucks pull up, flashing lights, out climb like a dozen people, head to toe in those bright yellow biohazard suits, respirators, carrying Geiger counters, chemical sniffers, sampling kits, and they approach the sea of pink cautiously, like they're entering Chernobyl, measuring things, scanning, muttering into their radios, moving super slow, totally out of sync with the need to just clear the road. You can almost hear them, right? Muffled voices. Initial readings show high sodium levels and significant paprika.
Stay back, Johnson. We don't know the nitrate level.
Exactly. Maintain distance. Potential dermal effects of concentrated processed pork product unknown. It's just, wow.
The irony is just incredible, but it says so much about system failure, doesn't it? What's fascinating is how one tiny administrative error, one wrong digit, triggers this completely inappropriate response. Waste resources, wastes time. It really shows that tight coupling idea in the systems. Everything's linked so closely that one small failure just ripples through unexpectedly. A basic data entry mistake bypassed common sense. It shows how rigid these systems are, how little adaptability they have. They were following protocol, sure, but the wrong protocol. It just demonstrates how easily these systems get derailed by something outside their narrow little boxes, sending expensive, specialized teams for completely the wrong job.
Totally. So the HAZMAT team, after their very careful, very misguided assessment, they finally confirm what everyone else knew. They couldn't do anything about a non-toxic meat spill. Their thing is chemicals, biohazards, radiation. not decomposing pork products.
Yeah.
But when they radio back to dispatch saying, it's not hazardous, but there are a lot of them and they smell really bad, that didn't fix anything. No, that just triggered this massive escalating jurisdictional turf war between government agencies. It was like watching this perfectly awful ballet of buck passing.
Oh, the classic interagency shuffle.
It's got all these different departments, right? With their own rules, their own budgets, started squabbling over who owned the two-dealer processed pork product-based roadway obstruction.
Oh, yeah.
The DOT, who got the first call, they're arguing, look, it's a food product. On a highway, that's FDA territory. We do asphalt, traffic cones. Then the FDA pipes up, no, it's on a highway, a public road, not a grocery store, not a factory. That's DOT's job. Clear the road. And then, because why not make it even more complicated, the Department of Agriculture jumps in.
Oh, of course they did.
Quoting some obscure rule, arguing that since hot dogs are technically livestock byproducts, even processed, they should have oversight. Maybe worried about animal diseases, waste disposal, who knows? Each agency had its rule book, its budget, and zero interest in taking on this bizarre, unprecedented mess that wasn't clearly their problem, especially one this weird.
And while all this bureaucratic bickering is going on, officials debating classifications, jurisdictions, the actual problem on the ground, it's literally festering under the August sun. Those hot dogs, not glistening pink anymore, they're starting to cook, gently poaching on the asphalt, becoming less appetizing by the minute. And the smell.
The smell.
Like a giant, unclean 7-Eleven roller grill.
It's exactly, but amplified. Times 1,000, maybe worse. A smell that got into cars, into clothes, just hung over everything. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, it's just a perfect metaphor, isn't it? For government, maybe any big organization, you've got this simple, undeniable problem. Getting worse fast, everyone agrees it's a problem. But nobody can agree whose job it is to fix it, or who pays. So they just let it fester. It perfectly highlights the problems with siloed departments, unclear authority, and this culture of avoiding blame instead of just solving the damn problem. Especially when it's something weird, unexpected, crossing jurisdictional lines, not fitting neatly in any box. 3, human ingenuity amidst chaos. The roadside barbecue.
Right. And while the suits were arguing miles away, the actual commuters, stuck on I-95, they were slowly slipping into this kind of heat stroke delirium. That initial anger, it faded for a lot of them, replaced by this surreal acceptance, like, okay, we're trapped by 40,000 hot dogs. This is my life now. Boredom, thirst, the heat, it just started breaking down normal rules. People started getting out of their cars, which you just don't do on a highway, right? Definitely not standard procedure.
They're stretching, chatting, just staring at the pink carpet, disbelief mixed with morbid curiosity. And this is where our hero emerges. An unexpected hero. This guy. In his pickup truck. Probably heading to a barbecue, maybe a tailgate party, which he was now going to miss. And he happens to have a small hibachi grill and a bag of charcoal in the truck bed.
No way. He had a grill.
He did. And as the hours crawled by, the absurdity just building, he decided, you know what, enough. This isn't just traffic. This is opportunity. Gets out, grabs his grill, sets it up on the median strip, that grassy bit in the middle. And with this glint in his eye, maybe part survival, part entrepreneur, he starts grabbing hot dogs. Right off the road.
Actually,
off the road. Yeah, probably a bit gritty. Asphalt season. And he starts grilling them. Okay, let's unpack this amazing, very human moment. From frustration to, well, resourceful adaptation.
It's incredible. That's like true American innovation right there.
Yeah.
Stepping up when the system completely drops the ball. And he wasn't just feeding himself, right? He was starting something.
Yeah.
Building a little community, spontaneous.
Exactly. He wasn't charging, just handing them out. Like, here you go, fellow sufferer.
Wow. So it turns into this impromptu, kind of surreal, but also maybe kind of uplifting potluck.
Totally. You have to picture it. People are hesitant at first, then hunger wins out. They're trading emergency water bottles, maybe stale chips, for these smoky, slightly dirty hot dogs.
Oh, man.
Then someone finds a pack of old buns in their trunk. Another person has ketchup, maybe relish from a forgotten fast food bag.
It's amazing. What's fascinating there is how basic human needs, hunger, thirst, connection, just surge to the front in a crisis, right? When the normal order collapses, society just rebuilds itself right there on the median, one condiment at a time. It's powerful. Shows resilience, resourcefulness, that drive for community when the official systems just fail completely. Finding common ground in the absurdity and the hunger.
You can just see the news footage, can't you? While the HAZMAT guys are still suited up, contemplating nitrates from afar, the cameras are panning across this scene. You can almost hear the reporter trying to stay professional. Tom, It's a scene of remarkable resilience here on I-95. Strangers, united by their shared predicament and perhaps a newfound appreciation for processed meat tubes. They're coming together, sharing what little they have.
Turning disaster into a barbecue.
Exactly. And the visual comedy. Business suits, carefully roasting a hot dog on the hibachi, maybe over a car engine. Next to the HAZMAT team, still in full gear because regulations, trying to direct traffic around the guy who made a bun out of cardboard. The contrast is just stunning.
And naturally, the media couldn't resist. The puns started flying. A true pandemic, as you called it.
Oh, yeah.
I heard anchors saying things like, well, Jim, looks like traffic's in a real pickle down there. Or, that's right, Susan, drivers are having trouble mustering the strength to catch up with their schedules.
Please stop.
And the inevitable weary co-anchor. Frankly, Bob, I've had enough, but these commuters seem to be having a real wiener of a time.
Okay.
But seriously, that humor, right? It served a purpose. It was a collective coping mechanism.
Yeah.
For something so absurd, frustrating, even kind of scary. It shows how we process stress, unexpected events. It's a release valve. Normalizes the abnormal. Builds that shared experience, which brings up an important question. How does humor, in these moments of system failure and collective absurdity, how does it help? Is it just distraction, or is it actually essential? For sanity, for camaraderie, for finding some control in the chaos. It's pretty amazing our ability to find laughs even when knee-deep in, well, The solution. A snowplow in August and the meat wall.
The pandemic was definitely something. But back to the actual problem. Thousands of hot dogs baking on the highway, so after 3 hours of bureaucratic fighting, while the hibachi barbecue was in full swing, the authorities finally agreed on a plan. That whole classification fight, food waste, road debris, agricultural byproduct. They finally solved it. With some creative wording, the hot dogs were officially declared, wait for it, perishable roadway obstruction.
Recyclable roadway obstruction.
Okay. Which crucially meant the Department of Transportation could finally handle it. Phew. The sigh of relief across the state must have been huge.
And the solution they came up with, when it finally arrived, was just as unconventional, just as bizarre as the problem itself. Forget shovels, sweepers, waste trucks. They decided the most efficient way, maybe the only way readily available, to clear the road was with a snowplow.
A snowplow. In August. For hot dogs.
Let that image sink in. A massive yellow snowplow, meant for blizzards, being deployed for meat products on hot asphalt. It's just...
That incongruity is shocking. A symbol of pure desperation, maybe. Improvisation. So this thing arrives, lumbers onto the highway, and just pushes the entire 40,000-pound mass of warm, glistening, probably kind of sticky by now, hot dogs, pushes it all to the shoulder of the highway.
Just shoves it aside.
Yep. Creating this iconic landmark, what witnesses called a meat wall.
A meat wall. Wow. Okay. What's fascinating there is the almost slapstick nature of the final fix, right? It highlights not just the lack of planning for something so weird, but also the ad hoc, sometimes absurd ways problems get solved when the system breaks down. It's that classic muddling through. Find a solution, any solution, with the tools you have, no matter how weirdly suited they are.
Right, get the road open.
Exactly. Yeah. But it also shows that tension between efficiency and appropriateness. A snowplow was fast, sure, cleared the lane.
Right.
But was it the right tool for perishable organic stuff? Probably not. It's a testament to resourcefulness under pressure, yeah, but also to the systemic failures that made such a crazy measure necessary in the first place. It clears the immediate problem, but boy, does it create a new one.
And just like that, the immediate crisis, over, road cleared, traffic starts moving, slow at first, then picking up. Collective sigh of relief. Freedom. But...
The story isn't over. Not really, because now, on the side of I-95, you don't just have a clear road. You have a 10-foot-high, quarter-mile-long pile of slowly decomposing hot dogs. It's out of the way, sure, but it's there. A monument to bureaucracy and improvisation, radiating this pungent aroma for weeks.
So what happens next? What does this mean for the local environment, the ecology? What happens when a meat wall just becomes part of the landscape? Long-term impact, the hot dog mafia, and the official report.
Well, the ecological aftermath of the infamous meat wall was pretty much what you'd expect. An unprecedented feast for every critter around. Seagulls, raccoons, squirrels, opossums. They must have thought it was Christmas. An all-you-can-eat buffet. High nitrate, processed protein just laid out for them.
Oh, yeah, they must have loved it.
They descended on it, feasting like kings for weeks. And you could see the impact. The local animal population got noticeably fatter, bolder, maybe more aggressive. Their whole diet got thrown out of whack by this sudden bonanza.
Yeah, they're squirrels.
Yeah, there were these local legends, right? Stories of squirrels now too plump to actually climb trees, just sitting at the bottom looking smug, waiting for their next meat wall delivery. And the raccoons, even wilder. Usually they're loners or small groups. But reportedly, they started forming these organized gangs.
Gangs, raccoon gangs.
Yeah, setting up territories around the hot dog pile, getting aggressive with rivals, even people who got too close. Like they were demanding tribute, maybe relish packets from passing cars. It was like the dawn of the hot dog mafia.
The hot dog mafia, I love it.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture, it shows how these human failures, even comical ones, have real ecological ripple effects, unexpected ones. The hot dog mafia, funny as it sounds, it highlights how a sudden, massive, high-energy food source can just totally disrupt an ecosystem, changes behavior, food chains, creates these new, weird, aggressive social structures among the animals. It's a funny but kind of stark reminder of how linked our systems in the natural world really are.
Wow. Okay. And then to just perfectly wrap up this whole bizarre saga, months later, the official report comes out. And this document, it is a masterpiece of bureaucratic doublespeak, truly, an art form in avoiding clarity.
Oh, I bet.
It deliberately sidesteps any direct language. Never once does it use the words hot dog, sausage, or wiener. Not in the whole report.
So what did they call it?
Instead, with this incredibly careful, almost poetic phrasing, it refers to the whole thing as a tubular process pork product-based roadway obstruction.
Tubular processed pork product-based roadway obstruction. That's elegant in its own way.
Isn't it like a poet trying to describe a train wreck without saying train or wreck?
Yeah.
Just trying desperately to avoid blame or acknowledging the ridiculous reality or setting a precedent for the next time there's a tubular processed pork product issue.
Exactly. In this masterpiece of euphemism, it wasn't just about avoiding the words hot dog. The report carefully concluded that the main reason for the delay in clearing the road, the hours it sat there, wasn't the truck crash itself. Oh, no. It was, and I quote, interagency communication friction regarding the classification of the perishable debris. Crass translation. Everybody argued while the hot dogs rotted. It's the most polite, convoluted, institutionally safe way to say it. Which raises another important question, right? What does this careful dodging of plain language, this framing of the cause of the delay, what does it tell us about how big institutions handle responsibility? How they manage perception when they fail, undeniably? It really underscores that tendency, human, organizational, to control the narrative, deflect blame, protect reputations. Even when faced with something as absurdly obvious as 40,000 pounds of wieners cooking on I-95, it's about managing the story, almost more than fixing the problem.
So when you boil it all down, it's just this incredible story, isn't it? A simple mistake. Truck goes too fast. Leads to this total meltdown of almost every system meant to fix it. Communication failures, turf wars, wrong resources. And then, right in the middle of that paralysis, this beautiful, spontaneous human connection. Forged over a hibachi grill on the median, it really is a cautionary tale. For our complex world, our systems, our interconnections, they're surprisingly fragile. Sometimes, all it takes is one overturned truck of wieners to bring it crashing down, expose every weak link, every bottleneck. And the humble hot dog, that everyday food, becomes the unlikely catalyst for all this disruption. I gotta admit, after talking about this much, I kind of want a hot dog now.
It's the Pavlovian response, right? The power of suggestion. Or maybe just the phantom smell of that metaphorical meat wall. It absolutely is. And it shows the power of a good story, doesn't it? Especially one that's absurd, this human. This whole incident, it's more than just a funny anecdote. It's like a perfect case study, how our detailed plans often just fall apart when faced with the truly unexpected, the black swan event that's not in any manual. Outro.
Well, I think we've grilled this topic pretty thoroughly, wouldn't you say?
Nicely done. Yeah, I think we have.
We've gone from just a traffic jam to a full-on government crisis, seen a surreal roadside barbecue, even tracked the rise of the squirrel and raccoon elite. We've seen how one small error cascades into system failure and how people find their own solutions, their own community, when the official structures just fail them. So what's the takeaway for you listening? What do you get from this completely bizarre but hopefully pretty insightful deep dive?
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It pushes you to question the systems we count on. Every single day. Emergency services, roads, supply chains. You realize how much we just assume things will work without really grasping how fragile that web is, the one keeping everything running. And it makes you wonder, maybe more personally, if you were stuck there, in that jam, baking in the heat, staring at that carpet of meat, surrounded by absurdity and that smell, and someone offers you a free, slightly gritty, asphalt-seasoned hot dog from a hibachi. Would you? Would you have eaten a road dog?
Mm.
That's the question. Because maybe, in the face of total systemic collapse, when the protocols fail, the institutions are bickering. Sometimes all you have left is a slightly dirty hot dog and the kindness of a stranger with a grill. Which raises that final important question. What does that reveal? About our own resourcefulness, our adaptability, our fundamental human needs when everything else just breaks down. What surprising things are we capable of, willing to do, just to find comfort, connection, or even just calories in the craziest circumstances? It reminds you maybe that humanity often shows its best side right when the systems humans built completely fail.
That is a terrifyingly bleak yet
Yep.
probably accurate, maybe even, hopeful assessment of the human condition. Definitely gives you something to chew on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.